This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Another mass shooting during what was supposed to be a celebration. We head to California for the latest as investigators work to figure out a motive. Plus,
Fans, yesterday, the Trailblazers organization and Portland community lost one of its most beloved and important figures.
A Trailblazers legend remembered during last night's game. At 5:15, we're talking about Bill Schonely's legacy on Rip City, including a special moment from a KGW Sunrise segment.
We're also talking about weather this morning because the Portland area saw a little snowfall early Saturday morning, I believe it was. I think that's when I saw the snow falling outside my window. We also saw, Rod, something known as grapple. I remember a few years ago I said to Brenda Braxton, I never heard of grapple. But Rod insisted we talk about grapple all the time.
Well, at least most years. It's pretty common up in the Cascades. And I mean, we don't get snow every year in Portland, so we don't talk about snow in Portland every year. But, you know, grapple's not unusual, certainly, for us.
Nonetheless,
I was out there in it on Saturday.
Oh, were you?
I called it white rain.
we are going to explain what the heck grapple is exactly. I mean, we're going to define grapple, Rod, coming up here in a few minutes.
Okay, it's going to be exciting. I slept through that particular day in weather class, so I need to know this information. Here's a look at our satellite radar picture. Remember, we had a little chance of rain in the forecast for today, if you go back to last week. And here it is showing up, this little weak wave of moisture, producing some rain up in Long Beach and Astoria. A little bit has moved inland. Clascani is now picking up a little bit of light rain. Maybe a trace will come to Longview. We expect all that to fizzle and not make it to Portland, but clearly it's a possibility we could see an early morning raindrop. Right now we're dry, we're cloudy. It's 40 degrees outside at the airport. We'll see generally passing clouds coming in this morning, and then those will pass and will be partly cloudy this afternoon. Your temperatures for a high today anywhere from about 45 to 47 with light winds. Back to you.
Thank you, Rod.
Hearing this happen now is just very shocking, very sad, you know, because it's just confirming that there's no safe place anymore.
A mass shooting at a Lunar New Year celebration in California killed 10 people and injured 10 more. Police say the suspect in that shooting killed himself, but this morning questions surrounding his motive remain.
Yeah, and the shooting happened Saturday night at a dance hall in Monterey Park. That's a suburb of Los Angeles. Devin Haskins is live in studio with the very latest. And Devin, police have identified the shooter, but they're still working to provide the names of the victims.
Yeah, Christine, that's right. Investigators believe 72-year-old Hu Can Tran is behind the shootings. Police say he was found dead inside his van from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after police pulled him over on Sunday. They say Tran walked into a dance hall in Monterey, California late Saturday night and started shooting. 10 people were killed, 10 others injured. 7 of those 10 that were injured are still in the hospital. Then about 20 minutes after that shooting, police believe Tran entered another dance hall with a gun. But those at the dance hall wrestled the gun away from him before he ran into his van and drove off. Police described the gun found at the second dance club as a, quote, magazine-fed semi-automatic pistol. Those witnesses at that second dance club were able to get a description of the van, which helped police find that van late Sunday morning, about 30 minutes away in Torrance. According to investigators, evidence inside the van ties Tran to both locations.
You've been asking me about motive. We still are not clear on the motive. The investigation continues, and that is something we are all extremely, we want to know. We want to know how something like this, something this awful can happen.
Police still haven't released the names of any of the victims, but they did say that 5 are men and 5 were women, all ranging in their ages of 50s, 60s, and older. We're also seeing reaction from local and state lawmakers in Oregon and Washington. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler tweeting, "The mass shooting in Monterey Park is absolutely devastating. We must unite to stop gun violence." And Washington Governor Jay Inslee, again, another moment of celebration and community stolen by someone intent on violence and destruction. Our hearts go out to Monterey Park as we wait to learn more. Back to you.
All right, Devin Haskins reporting for us here this morning. Our next story comes from Vancouver, where 2 teenagers reportedly held a woman at knife point outside the Vancouver Mall and told her to hand over her car keys. As KGW's Blair Best reports, these teenagers are now in a juvenile detention center.
It was a typical Saturday afternoon for Paige Williams.
And I thought I'd run into Old Navy to get an outfit for my granddaughter.
When she got out of her car, she noticed a teenage boy watching her from across the lot.
So I left my car and I walked in the direction of the entrance of the mall. And then he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, excuse me." And I said, "Yeah, can I help you?" And he approached me, so I stood and waited for him, and he says, "Give me your key."
The interaction quickly turned violent when another teen came up behind her.
And we got between two cars, and then he had a knife, and he put it about like this on me, "Give me your key, I'm going to cut your face." My heart was racing, and I was in shock and just super scared.
Williams gave him her keys, luckily avoiding any injury.
I wasn't going to challenge what they were doing. I was at that point, I thought, you have the knife and you're this stupid to approach somebody in broad daylight, you can have my key. It's my car versus my life.
Although she ran back to her car where she had important medication, but she was too late. They had already driven off.
Please just get me my medication, and he just gave me the finger.
Shortly after the robbery, Vancouver police found the suspects driving in the area and tried to stop them, but they got away at first. Now, the victim tells us they were driving erratically and badly damaged her car.
Within just a few minutes, they're saying, "Yeah, we see the vehicle," and I started seeing police cars flying down the highway.
It was a bright green car, which Williams says made it easier for police to spot. They eventually caught the teens about 17 miles away in Clackamas County.
I got my car back because of the amazing work of the Vancouver Police Department.
The suspects were 13 and 14 years old. They're facing several charges, including robbery, felony harassment, and possession of a stolen vehicle.
It was wasteful. Now he's going to have a record if he doesn't have one already. He's messing up his life. He's going to put stress on his family. The other kid, I don't care what happens to him. He is trouble.
Both of the suspects are now at the Donald E. Long Juvenile Detention Center in Portland. Blair Best, KGW News.
Now to some of the other headlines we're tracking for you this morning. Washington County deputies are searching for a Portland woman wanted in connection with a stolen car. This is 33-year-old Leilani Ola. The owner says his car was taken from a home on Thursday, and then yesterday he says he saw it on the road. Once he was sure it was his car, he pulled up right next to it and he confronted the people inside. They sped off, so he followed them to the Rock Creek Apartments in Beaverton. When one of the people pointed a handgun at him, he decided to leave and he called 911. Police arrested the man in the car, but they're still looking for Leilani Ola. If you have any information about this crime, you're asked to call the Washington County Sheriff's Office. After more than 20 years in business, the Nike store in downtown Seattle closed. Nike hasn't said why yet, but Friday was its last day. The Downtown Seattle Association says it's excited about several new stores that have opened in recent months. It says the number of visitors to Seattle was up 8% in December compared to the same time last year. And 4 show dogs competing in the Rose City Classic are back with their owners this morning after they were stolen on Saturday. The dogs were in a van that was left running Friday in a hotel parking lot on Hayden Island. The next morning, a Good Samaritan found the van in Vancouver with the dogs safe inside. The owners offered that man a cash reward, but he declined. And those are some of your Monday morning headlines.
And now to a bit of a weather surprise for some people in the Portland metro area over the weekend. Some of us saw snowflakes Saturday morning. Others saw ice pellets and grapple. Much of the area saw a little bit of all three, but by late morning it was kind of all over. So what is grapple? It forms when supercooled water droplets in the air freeze onto falling snowflakes. The end result are the tiny white pellets that almost resemble hail. You just saw a video, or just saw some video of grapple, I believe. The grapple almost bounces once it hits the ground, but really the difference between hail and grapple, well, unlike hail, grapple is a little softer and crushable.
I thought you were going to say chewable, crushable. I'm sorry.
Like a snow cone? It's definitely softer. I was out walking, like I said, on Saturday morning, and it was kind of pretty.
You know, it hit. So that wasn't at least in my forecast. This moisture came in earlier Saturday morning than expected, and it caught temperatures that were generally around 34, 35 degrees. But when I first saw it, I was like, thinking it was hail. It's your first thought, right? But I'm like, there's no convection happening in this weather pattern. It can't be hail. So then I ran out on my deck. I took this video. Take a look with my it's not an iPhone, it's a Samsung. It's an Android, that's what it is.
Thank you for being so specific.
Yes, thank you. So, and also you notice the color of I call them little snowballs, right? That's what they look like to me. As Christine just explained, drop a bit of a mix of frozen water droplets and snowflakes. Little white balls just kind of scattering around. And then that changed over in many spots to big, fluffy snowflakes. Now remember, when you get snow with temperatures right around 32, or especially when the temperature is a little bit above 32, there's a lot of water vapor available at those temperatures in the air, so the flakes are almost always gigantic. And we saw that at times Saturday morning as well. It all went into the weather books as a trace of snowfall. We've actually had 5 days with a trace, or I should say, or more of snow, pardon me. 5 days of a trace of snow. 2 times this month, both in December, we've picked up 1/10 of an inch, so we're less than 1/2 of an inch of total snow for the season. And then real quick, since we're talking about kind of looking backwards, November temps 3 degrees below zero. December was the same, but so far this month has been the opposite. It's been 3 degrees above. I've seen a lot of comments on social about, hey, it's been such a mild winter. I was like, well, time out. December was cold, November was cold, and February is going to be cold. So enjoy this kind of break from the cold weather that we're having right now. Earlier in the show, we showed you this batch of moisture that's producing some light rain, Seaside, Astoria. Longview, you're going to start to get some of this. All the data I look at shows that really fizzles out before it gets to Portland, but clearly we could have a raindrop this morning. Otherwise, it will be fizzling out in the coming hours. We'll have some passing clouds give way to some partly cloudy conditions this afternoon. Right now, clouds over the city, 40 degrees. We do have some fog pockets, mainly south of Salem being reported. It's near freezing down Eugene and Salem at 34. And then we have a sunny day coming east of the Cascades. We have 19 over in Bend right now. Temperatures today with some afternoon sun coming will be 46, 47. Don't forget that traceable amount of rain it looks like that's hitting parts of southwest Washington at this hour. So we're all dry until Friday. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk about why it would be raining this weekend. The reason, we're going to get cold again. That's coming up next half hour.
All right, Rod, let's talk about what we have coming up next here on Sunrise. A man, Rod, that I know you had a ton of respect for, and a man that so many Blazers fans loved, passed away early Saturday morning. We're talking about legendary broadcaster Bill Schonely. Coming up on Sunrise, we'll take a look back at one of our favorite moments with the Schons here on the Sunrise Show. It was a terrific interview that Brenda did with him just a few years ago. Again, that's right after this short break.